Here's why you should plan your week in advance, because you'll be able to manage your time better and prioritize those important tasks that are going to move the needle forward. So you're not just being productive on random things, you're actually doing and being productive on the right things. Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Mom Boss Monday. Thank you so much for being here. So today we're going to talk all about weekly planning. Last week's video was all about stress and overwhelm, and in that video I shared 3 of the main causes of stress, and one of those was an overflowing to-do list, which I think many of you related with because I know I find myself there too often. And one of the reasons why we go to that space again and again is because we say yes to too many things. We're not prioritizing our tasks well. Essentially, we're jumping in without a strategy week after week. You would not play any competitive sport without a strategy to win, so why would you approach life that way? And that's what weekly planning is all about. If you feel stressed and out of control with life, weekly planning is your chance to take back the wheel. When you plan your week in advance, you can make sure that you're prioritizing important tasks and that you're deliberately giving your attention to the things that matter. About a year ago, I did make a video all about weekly planning. It's called Plan Your Week for Success, but it has changed a little bit, so I wanted to create this new video. But I'll leave that previous video linked in the description, and you should check it out because in that one, I share more tips and other things that are really important that will help you out. So make sure to check that out as well. And before we jump into the 5 steps to planning a super productive week, if you're new to this channel and you like videos like this, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it so that you can be notified of my weekly videos. We're here every week, Monday and Thursday, so make sure to subscribe. Step number 1 is to establish a non-negotiable weekly appointment. It can seem counterintuitive to be spending an hour or 2 every week just to plan your tasks ahead of time. But take it from the time management genius himself, Brian Tracy. He says that every minute you spend in planning saves 10 minutes in execution, and that's 1,000% return on your energy. So sure, you can be productive without planning. You can just start your week and just jump right in and you're still productive. But there's a difference between being productive and being productive on the right things. There's no point in doing a bunch of things if they're not the right ones. So look at this weekly planning as an appointment with yourself. This is your time to align your yearly goals and your lifetime dreams with the tasks you're doing on the weekly and daily basis. Pick a day right now where you'll be doing your weekly planning. It can be any day. Most of the time it's towards the end of the week, like Friday or Sunday, or you can do yours when your new week starts, like on a Monday. Whatever it is, you can do morning, evening, or afternoon, night, whatever works for you, as long as you're able to stick to this routine. And then plan a couple of hours. Right now I take about an hour to go through the whole process, but in the beginning, as you're getting used to it, it will take a bit longer. So plan to take out an hour of your week or 2 to do this weekly planning. Step number 2 is to review your previous week. Sometimes even with a well thought out and planned week, things end up going wrong. It doesn't always pan out the way we'd like it to. But the idea is to never have 2 bad games in a row. And that's exactly what this weekly review will help you do. Before you plan your new week, look at your previous week and take it apart day by day. Dissect it and ask yourself what went well, what went wrong, and most importantly, why. A weekly review is a topic that deserves its own video, but I will get to that soon. For now, I just want to share like an overview of my process. So first of all, I ask myself self-reflective questions. I ask myself, how was my productivity? How was my relationships, health, diet, things like that. And I answer these questions in a form of like a journal entry. I think that questions are extremely powerful because they help you gain insights. They force you to go in and think about things better, and it forces you to come up with new ideas to solve problems and to avoid problems in the future. So questions vary from person to person, depending on what you're going through, what stage you're at in life right now. But I will leave the list of questions that I use down in the description. You can download them and try them out, or just use them as inspiration to create your own. After the questions, I go ahead and celebrate what went well, and I evaluate what went wrong and put plans into place to avoid them in the future. Then I analyze all my numbers, my sales, my analytics, everything that I have going on, evaluate how everything is going, and then lastly, I decide on what actions I took worked well and which ones are going to be moving forward with me into the next week, and which ones I'm going to be discarding because they're not working. Step number 3 is to choose a planner. So now that you've reviewed your previous week and you know exactly what changes you want to make and how you want your new week to go, it's time to start planning. But before that, you need to pick the perfect planner for you. There are many options to choose from, many digital ones, paper ones, so many things you can do. I haven't ever tried an app, but I have seen like weekly planning apps that may be great. You could try Trello or Evernote for this. But right now, what's working for me is this paper planner. It's a Daniel Lee paper planner. I don't know if you can see that, but it's pretty beat up because I've been using it all year. I'm so glad that I found this. But before this, I used to just use like a wide ruled regular plain journal, and I would use the same method that I'm going to be teaching you in the next step. So choose whatever works for you. Maybe even a bullet journal, since you can customize it however you'd like. But I'm going to show you inside this planner right now so you can kind of see what to look for. So the first thing you see when you open up this planner is this monthly layout of the 12 months of the year. And the blocks are big enough for you to write down your to-dos for your daily tasks. But I don't use this part for it. I just use this to keep track of my monthly budget. After that, there's a weekly layout for each week of the year, and this is the part that I use to plan my week. I like that there's a big enough space for each day of the week for you to write down your to-dos there. And then on the right side, there's a large space to do more planning, a space for reminders, a goal of the week. And down here, there's 2 small calendars, one for the current month you're in and one for the next month. So this is very important when you're looking for a planner for yourself. Make sure it has enough space to meet your needs for how you're going to be planning your week. Step number 5 is to write down your to-dos. So now it's time to start writing your actual to-dos, and I like to do this into 5 separate categories. Category number 1 is profit producing activities. And these are tasks that are going to keep the lights on in my business. Things that are actually going to be generating revenue. Things such as creating new ads, submitting new designs, advertising my books, just different things like that. And then the second category is just general business activities. So these are things that are important to do, things that I have to do, but not necessarily things that are, going to keep the lights on. So if I were to skip these tasks, I'd be okay. If I were to skip these tasks, that would put me behind. So these are very important. These are important, but not as important. Category number 3 is personal to-dos. So I just put personal right there. And these are just things that I have to get done, like running errands, kids' activities, just things that I have to get done in my personal life. And then category number 4 is going to be learning. So you don't want to just be consuming information just for the sake of it, reading all kinds of books, taking all kinds of courses just because. You want to be intentional about what you're learning. You want to make sure that you're reading the books and taking the courses that you need in your life right now. And this is your chance to get clear on what that is. So whatever you feel you need to learn this following week, put it here so that you can read those books that you actually need. Category number 5 is course correcting actions. So you know how we did that weekly review? We determined what things we wanted to improve, what went wrong, what went well. Right here is just a reminder, kind of like a positive affirmation of what I want to focus on this following week. It could be to get to bed earlier, to spend less time on YouTube, to be nicer to my family, just different things that I noticed went wrong. How am I going to improve next week? And I use this space to write a positive affirmation. So then you can go on and fill out the stuff with different things you want to do. And this just makes sure that you're keeping a balance, that you're focusing on each area of your life that's important to you. Step number 5 is to transfer your to-dos into your daily schedule. So once you do have all this filled out, the 5th and final step is to move all these tasks into one of each of these days. It took me a long time to get to this point. I used to just stop at step number 4, plan out my 5 categories, know exactly what I wanted to do throughout the week, and then just plan one day at a time. It used to overwhelm me to try to make them all fit into each day and try to plan it all out in advance. So if you feel that way, you can do that as well. Just stop at step number 4, and when you feel ready, you can move to this step number 5. But what I realized was that it didn't work out for me before because I was planning too many things each week. And that forced me to stuff a lot of tasks in one day, and then I wouldn't get them done. But that's exactly why I need to follow this step, because it ensures that I'm not putting too much to do in each week. If after I distribute all the things that I have to do in each category into a day and something doesn't fit, that means I don't have time for it. So I need to not do it, leave it for next week, or I need to give up something to create space to have time to do this other task. So that forces me to prioritize, and it also forces me to keep somewhat of a balanced life because I'm making sure that I am incorporating personal and business tasks all in that week. So I hope all of that makes sense for you. If you have any questions, just let me know down below. It's kind of confusing to explain all this, but I hope I'm making sense, and I hope you give this a try of planning your whole week in advance. Just know that at first it may not work like it did for me, but the more you do it, the better sense you get of like how long things actually take, and then what you plan in your week and in your days actually start to get done, and you plan just enough. Alright, so that sums up the 5 steps to plan a super productive week. I really hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to give me a thumbs up and hit that share button down below and send this video over to a friend who may need it. You'll be helping them and supporting this channel as well. And let's continue the conversation in the comments below. Let me know, do you currently plan your week? If you do, what changes are you going to make moving forward? Let me know in the comments down below. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.